Sorry to disrupt things. If I get stuck in Leicester again, I'm sleeping at the train station again. So I can't go through that again. There's only so many times you can wake up being poked by me. I'm Nathan. I'm a poet. I used to be on the scene in Leicester for about 5 or 6 years. I've been living in Birmingham the last couple of years. This is my first time I've managed to get back to Some-Antics in about a year. It's really nice to be back. It's been amazing this evening. I was going to do a completely different bit, and then some fantastic people got in on the first half and laid the politics out, and I thought, oh, okay, well, it's off then. This is a piece I wrote a few weeks ago. I was talking to some friends of mine who were insisting that they weren't going to bother voting, and I was talking to some other people who didn't want to talk about politics because they were saying, well, you know, it's a grey area and there's points to be made on both sides. And I took umbrage with that. So this is a little something that I wrote. The winds of change would blow, they said, and sweep away those choking clouds, that toxic haze of past mistakes and relics from some bygone age that block the warming golden rays of sunshine from the better days to come. That it was a light at the end of that tunnel, not just the flash of a muzzle from another loaded gun. And though the odds were stacked against us, if we all shared the consensus that this world could be better, then the battle could eventually be won. But now it feels as though that future's already been and gone, and we're still here, barely holding on to hope, haunted by the existential ghosts of the potential for a world that never was, wondering how convictions that started out so strong could be suffocated by a state of existence that seems so fundamentally wrong. And I know that nothing good worth doing is ever easy, but I can't just keep singing those same old protest songs, bleating out the verses, just rehearsing while we're waiting for a new inspiring saviour to come along. And while we try being patient, waiting for those long-anticipated changes, the only winds we seem to feel these days are the shockwaves from dictators dropping bombs. Entire populations are facing displacement by the decree of somebody else's God. Families shifting through the rubble for the remnants of the relatives they've lost. World leaders, instead of calling for violence to cease, weighing up disagreements' electoral costs, counting the balances before they check the ballot box and quabbling over what they consider to be an acceptable level of loss. Happily glossing over atrocities with gossiping dross and making a mockery of accountability, democracy and basic human decency. Protest and free speech deemed suspendable by sweeping decree. Prime ministers and MPs enslaved by greed, beefing up their own salaries while families in their constituencies turn off the heat and fret over which members they can actually afford to feed. So where are those winds of change that we so desperately need? Quite sweeping gales replaced by a stagnant breeze and the voice of a generation degraded into a ragged asthmatic wheeze. And while I'm still an optimist, it's getting harder and harder to believe that we're not barreling towards a future where we're pushed to a conclusion and there's broken glass, burning cars and violence in the streets. And if I'm honest, there's no small part of me that thinks there's maybe no alternative to sin. Just tear the system down, drag those corrupt leaders of the elite out of their glamorous mansions and have them begging at our feet and spend some of that money they've plundered on building ourselves a couple of dozen guillotines. But no, you're never going to restore peace and order using anarchy, just trading despots that we've already got for a new, different and worse breed. No one ever built a better world by trading safety for liberty, and we need to keep that in mind the way we want to be instead of the way we think they need us to be. To keep the faith and be the change we want to see, breathe life back into a system suspending in stagnancy. So don't speak to me of impartiality, grey shades of morality and agreeing to disagree. We draw a line in the sand, stand up for our convictions fearlessly, and trust that when the doing's done, it's us who'll be on the correct side of history. Thanks very much.